Hi there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. Today we are going to do some oil pastels, and I'm using my favorite oil pastel paper, which also is very, very affordable. You get 40 sheets, yeah. And it comes in either a 9 by 12 or 11 by 14, I think is the sizes. It is a wonderful paper. It's the Canson XL Sand Grain Dry Mixed Media paper, and it is my favorite pastel paper, or oil pastel paper. I don't like it as well for soft pastels, although it is usable for that, but the pebbly texture of this is just ideal for oil pastels. It's just the perfect amount of grit, and it's, I think, 40 sheet pad is about $10, so you really can't beat it. What I'm doing here is using these semi-jumbo pastels by Mungio. I really love jumbo pastels. I don't know why. I just think the novelty of it maybe. But I saw these at Jerry's Artorama in Delaware. I was on a road trip this summer going to teach for the, or demo for the Color Pencil Society for Derwent. And we hit every art store we could hit on our way back, and this was so fun. It was so fun to stop by the store and to see a Jerry's Artorama in real life. Oh my gosh, I think that is my favorite. That was my favorite chain art store. Oh my gosh, it was so nice. So I'm basically starting with these semi-jumbo pastels. These are kind of hard to find though. I do apologize if you're looking for them. They had them on Amazon for a hot minute, but they were like double the price I paid for them at Jerry's. So I would say if you have a Jerry's, go check there. They don't have them on their website. But the quality of these, they seem very similar to the Pentel, the original Pentel pastels. Very similar, that hard, kind of a little bit waxy type of surface. They're very firm, so they're great for those lower layers. So I'm going to be able to layer over these with my other pastels, which is really nice. So it's great for when you want to kind of block in color, but not obliterate the tooth of your paper. The nice thing about these versus the Pentel is they have no odor. They're very pleasant to work with. And the Pentels, I don't know what happened, but over, I think around COVID, the manufacturing must have changed because they just started to reek like gasoline whenever you bought any of those pastels. So definitely better in that respect. And this might be a situation, if you're watching this from outside of the US, if you can get these pastels, let us know. Let us know where you're finding them, because they just don't seem to be a very popular product here. They were new to me when I saw them at the store. I'm like, I've got to snag these. I paid $17 for it. Oh, here's a mistake. One thing about this paper, and I occasionally forget this, is that it does not like solvents. It does not like wet media at all. So the Canson XL Sand Grain Dry Mixed Media paper, you can use a little bit of solvent. This is Gamsol. You can use a little bit of it if you have plenty of pastel, but it does not work very well with wet media. So just kind of keep that in mind. It doesn't seem to damage the paper. Like I was able to go over this with not a problem, but I have not always had a good result when I've tried that. I used it with soft pastel once, and I had to completely redo an area. You can work back over it, which is good, but it does kind of like soak in and stain the paper. I don't know why. It just doesn't want to work with that at all. So what I'm doing here is I was trying to pick up some of the pastel. I kind of scribble it on the tape, and then I try to pick some up and then try to bring it over, kind of look at it, use that as a palette, and then kind of bring over that like a paint almost to start to fill in the tooth. I was really curious about how much I could do with these pastels. Can I do a whole piece with it, or am I going to have to like go in with some softer pastels? And yeah, definitely need to go in with some softer pastels in the way that I like to work anyway. I think these would work really well for wax resist. They're also less messy, so if you're looking for an oil pastel for your kids, maybe they're kind of getting tired of crayons and want to take the next step, these would be a good option. I do believe they're the same material as their student grade kind of standard oil pastels, Mungio brand, just in a larger format. These, I would say, are probably 5 times larger than the Pentel pastels, which are very tiny pastels anyway. And there I would say maybe like 4 times larger than the Mungio galleries, just to kind of give you an idea. They're probably about half the size of the Sennelier jumbo pastels or the Paul Rubens jumbo pastels. And the Paul Rubens jumbo pastels are a very soft pastel. So just to kind of give you an idea, these are definitely very hard, and they're for those first layers. But I like to work in layers. I like to have a hard pastel that I can use on the bottom bottom. I've been very curious to try Holbein's pastels, but they're just a little too spendy for me. I haven't pulled the trigger on those, but I'm very curious about those, because I feel like with pastels, oil pastels and soft pastels, you want to have a variety of hardness and softness, because you can put your hard pastels down first and then layer up the buttery ones on top. It's kind of like the fat over lean rule. You get those hard layers, those non-oily layers down the bottom, and then you can work up. And here, actually, since I did pour a little bit of Gamsol into that little cup, I was picking some up with my finger and just kind of helping fill in the tooth. Because that's another thing, when I'm doing pastels, especially if I have a large shadowy area, like you can see in the foreground on the reference photo, I like to have those dark layers down with a hard pastel that's not going to be so smeary. And then when I go over it with a softer version, like these Mungio Galleries, I can layer them up really well. Now, Mungio makes a lot of different companies' pastels, so you may have used Mungio Gallery pastels, even if you've never picked up anything with a Mungio name on it. Mungio is what you call, I think it's an OEM manufacturer. They make their own line of products, but they also make products for lots of other companies. So I know some store brands that sell the Mungio Galleries under their own branded name. And they're just a wonderful pastel. And actually, this set here of 36, I bought under the Violetta brand. And so the set of 48 was like, I think it was like $16 or something. It was so cheap because I had just bought the set of 12 of actual Mungio Gallery pastels for like $12. It's just because I wanted to make sure that I was in fact getting the same pastels. And yeah, they are identical. And then I found they are identical to a few other brands that I had too, which I wasn't mad at that because I like these pastels a lot. I liked them so much, in fact, I purchased the wood box set of 120 of the Mungio Gallery pastels. It comes in a beautiful box, beautiful wooden box. It was a little spendy at $100. I think it was like, yeah, $105 is what I paid with tax on Amazon. But honestly, for the quality, I think that's a fantastic deal. Less than $1 a stick, absolutely. Of course, they're cheaper in the smaller sets. Like the set of 72 is around $45, I think, in a paper box, or around $50 in a wood box. The set of 36 here I got for $16. So yeah, the smaller sizes are more plentiful and cheaper, but they just recently expanded to 120 colors, so you pay more for that one because it's new. But I have no qualms. I have no regrets over that purchase. Now I'm doing the shadow on these trees in the center because there's a very strong kind of sunset light from behind them. So it's the glow of the sun is kind of wrapping around the edges of the trees, and the shadow is going to be kind of smack dab in the middle of the trees facing us. So it's kind of an unusual lighting situation that you have silhouetted trees, but it's got enough light that you can make out the edges as being lighter, which is kind of a nice effect. I thought this was really pretty. It was also not a very dear landscape to me. It's one I found on Unsplash, and I just wanted to play with pastels, and I thought, oh, I think this will be fun. So I didn't have really big ambitions for this piece. I just wanted to have some fun, and it was fun. I enjoyed it quite a bit, and I really liked the colors in the little kind of like rock formation in the water. I thought that would be fun to really pull out those sunset colors, those purples and oranges and pinks, and kind of make the most of that. And I liked how pastel and desaturated the colors were in the background, and I had a lot of fun with that. Now, one of my favorite tips with oil pastels, and I have an oil pastel course, by the way. I'll try to remember to link it in the video description. It's called Oil Pastels Made Easy, and it's one of my favorite courses. We do a lot of different techniques with those and use a lot of different tools that can really level up your oil pastel. One of the things I love to do is to use a soft colored pencil for details, and I'm using a variety of Derwent, the Derwent drawing pencils, and also the Prismacolor pencils. I find any really soft, opaque pencil works good for this. I would say Prismacolor I probably use the most with my oil pastels because they are more compatible because they're really soft. But now that Derwent Drawing has that expanded range, they would be a really great option as well. So yeah, don't be afraid to mix your media. As long as it's a kind of a similar media, similar feeling media, it generally will work pretty well. And when you're using the pencil, sometimes you end up just scraping the pastel away, but that can give you some really good marks too. So experiment, try, and see what you get. I'm layering up some more yellows and peach colors to just kind of build that intensity of the sunset. I am going a little bit stronger with the colors than in the reference photo because I like to do that. I like to push the colors. I like to take a reference photo and then expand it, make it more my vision, make it more to my aesthetic, and just have fun with it. So, that's up to you. You can push the colors, you can leave them the way they are, you can desaturate, you're the artist. You can do things however you want to do them. I also wanted to intensify the color in the water a little bit. I mean, nothing crazy, but just kind of give it a little bit more punch. And I want to put a little more detail on the rocks too, because it's not that far out into the water. So I thought it could use a little bit, a little more definition and a little more texture. There's a lot of good textures in this piece. We've got the smooth sky, we've got the foreground of the fluffy foliage, we've got the lacy branches. There's a lot going on. The tool I'm using right there is a little silicone blending tool. You can find these in any art supply store. Sometimes you can find them cheaper in the stamping aisle. They're sometimes called color shapers, but if you want a real bargain, you can go on Amazon and you can buy it silicone nail tools, or they're called silicone tip nails tools. I'll try to remember to link them up. Let me know if I forget. I can find a link for you, but they are very inexpensive. You can generally find a pack of 5 for, around $5. They're a wonderful tool. And sometimes you can get double-ended ones that have different shapes on each end. But, yeah, most of the ones that I bought have been absolutely fine. I have bought one set that was kind of a dud where the ends would pop off, but in general, they're usually pretty good. And I think the nail artists use them to sculpt the gel stuff on nails, but it works so good for this. And I like having the different shapes because like the cone one is a little bit more soft. You can get more feathered edges. The ones that are more like the wedge or the deerfoot type size is really great for defining. Now I got the tree a little bit too wide, so I went in with a palette knife and I just scraped that pastel right off. Look at that. It scrapes it back down to that first layer, basically. The first layer will stain a bit. I needed to get some of that brown off, and then I wanted to put the orange down so I could really get a strong glow on the edge of the tree. So that's a really fun technique to know too. Sometimes the scrapers, the palette knives can be a little unwieldy. You can also use like a barbecue skewer. That would work good, a toothpick, something like that. You'll get comfortable with whatever tool you decide to start playing with. You'll get comfortable with it, and then that will be your tool. So, and it will feel awkward at first. So just kind of get used to it. Like a pen cap, like, the little stem that kind of comes off of a pen cap, those would probably work really well too. So look around your house, see what you can find. Maybe even a piece of wire, as long as it's not too sharp. You don't want it to cut your paper. But I think a lot of times the best tools we find are just stuff that's around the house. Like, well, maybe you unbend a paper clip, and that's what you use for a scraping tool. Some people like to use ceramic knives, because they're a little less apt to cut through the paper as a metal knife, like an X-Acto knife. So, look around, see what you have, and have some fun with it. So for the foliage, I wanted to have something dark and desaturated. So I have this kind of like olive green. It's kind of like a grayed down olive green color. So I thought that would work pretty well. Now you can layer and mix your oil pastels. You don't have to have 100 colors. You can, like if you've got that green and it's not quite dark enough, you can layer in some black like I'm doing right here. In fact, I think that rather than having the perfect shade, the perfect stick of pastel that's going to be exactly the right color you need, I think you end up with a better result often if you have to use a couple colors to get that color you need, because you're going to have parts of it that's going to be more of the green area, like the light is hitting it, so you're going to see more of the green. You're going to have parts of it that are kind of overlapping, like little of the little leaves that are overlapping each other, and then you're going to get that dark. Having that variety that you get when you have to mix more colors because you don't have so many colors, that actually gives you more of a natural look and gives you a more interesting look in your work. So don't consider a small palette to be an obstacle. Consider it being a way for you to become a better painter. And that's one thing I've noticed, especially in paintings where you're using a liquid paint like watercolor or acrylics or oil paints. The more amateurish paintings are the ones that use more colors. The ones that look more professional are using fewer colors and doing more mixing. And the reason that is because when you're mixing your colors, you're starting off with like maybe 5 or 6 colors, and you're mixing all the colors you need. All of the lighting, all of the local color, all of the everything you make is going to be in relation to one another because you've mixed all those colors. So everything is going to feel like it belongs. It is going to feel natural. When you have, say you have 20 colors on your palette and you're just going for whatever one looks closest, you still may have a beautiful painting, but something about it is going to feel a little, maybe a little flat or a little amateurish or just not realistic, not natural, because it's got too many colors in it. And it could be a stylistic choice. Maybe you're going for something with more of a, like a modern vibe or more of a, like kind of, acid color type look. You're going for something that's kind of discordant. You're looking to get that a little bit of chaos in your painting. That's totally fine, as long as you're doing it with intention and you're doing it because that's what you want. Now here I'm using a palette knife to kind of mix my colors here, kind of smoosh them together a bit. I try not to get too much media on the paper because once you clog the tooth, then you can't layer down on top of it. So if I can go back in, if I can kind of scrape some color off for details, if I can kind of mash the color together with a palette knife and make it so I just have a thin layer of color down, then I can still continue to go on over top with the pastel sticks and they will still stick. I can consider the Mungio Gallery Soft Oil Pastels to be kind of like a medium hardness. They're very pigmented and they're quite soft, but you can layer them over a lot of things, and you could layer like Sennelier or Paul Rubens on top of the Mungio because that's even softer. But because they're so pigmented, I don't feel like I needed to go in with a softer one on top of this. I thought it worked pretty well. And now my favorite part is peeling the tape off of the painting. I don't know why I love that so much. It's like it gives it a frame and it feels finished all of a sudden. And yeah, I was really happy with how this came out. Now to finish this, actually just, you want to brush off the crumbs and then you can either spray fix it, or what I like to do is use a thin acrylic sealer on top, and that gives me a nice sticky, it makes it not sticky anymore so I can store it or display it, and I don't have to worry about things smearing quite so easily. I have a whole video on that too, called Will It Varnish, if you want to see how I do that. But anyway, there it is. It's so vibrant, so fun. I love how it came out, and I hope you enjoyed this little tutorial, and I hope it inspires you to pull out your oil pastels today and create something. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, happy crafting. Bye!